Of course I told them, because we're doing Positive Focus. What are we looking forward to in the next 2 weeks? And,
right.
And they said, I kind of got bullied into my first podcast, right? We recorded it in December of 2019.
Yep.
And it aired in February of 2020. We all know. And you reached out and said, you've been doing some amazing stuff. I want you back on. And how can I not take that as a great compliment and say yes?
Well, you could be like, you don't
Robert,
have enough followers.
You're a little bit too small for me now.
Thank you for having been my road.
Yes,
my
exactly.
Road crew.
You were a great stepping stone, but I don't go backwards. So.
Chris Rock, in one of his bits, he talks about how the females in his life,
right,
when they would achieve milestones,
uh-huh.
that they would literally be like, oh, I went out with a boy who had a car, so only boys with cars from this point forward.
Exactly. This is a new minimum standard.
So, we'll try to live up to the billing that we're trying to establish for you. But so episode 69,
okay,
aired on February 19th,
this
2020.
Week. All right. 2
Little
years.
did we know.
Little did we know.
What was about to happen 3 weeks later.
Right.
Literally, your and my podcast episode was the last one.
Wow.
That happened before the pandemic.
Wow.
And it was also at that time the last one I had in person for a very, very, very long time.
Yes, because we were being good citizens. Yes.
We were being responsible Americans.
We were being good citizens. Yes.
So
yes.
It's in a lot of ways, just knowing that you and I were standing on the edge of a cliff in more ways than we really realized.
Ever would have guessed. Yes.
Right. And so for me, I thought it would be fun to have you back.
Yes.
To hear what 2 years of life has meant for Wendy Caverly.
I guess it's actually a really good thing that you told me. You told me then, and then you told me again in March of 2020. Wendy, you need to put yourself out there more,
right? Because
the honest answer is, if I didn't force myself to do that and become comfortable with it, I wouldn't have found the value in that digital world that was sitting there waiting for me.
Right.
I would have just been like so many people and just done the set and wait. And wait instead of going, screw this. I'm going to take advantage of it, So I don't think I would have had the same level of comfortability of it. Sure. Comfortability. I made a new word. If I hadn't already had some experience with this world,
right.
Before it shut down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, yeah. Because literally the thing that you relied upon for income requires people to be in each other's physical presence.
Yes.
And so talk about having your cheese moved.
Yes. Yes. Oh my Lordy. Yes.
So talk a little bit about so here's Wendy runs a business that is networking teams. It requires us to be in a room together, going through the exercises that we've coached ourselves on to be effective referral team members.
Yes.
And suddenly
that just wasn't. When you and I had this conversation 2 years ago, I ran in-person physical driving distance business meetings.
All over Metro Detroit.
All over. I had a 4-county pull, and I was driving hundreds of miles a week, which is funny because I actually didn't leave my house for like 8 days last week because I didn't need to. Couldn't, just didn't realize I had no need. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah. I wasn't unaware. I've never been unaware. I've always been much more rational and realistic.
Pragmatic.
Right. Where, I pay attention to what level of fear is warranted versus what is out there. And I also try to be very responsive to my clients' needs. Right. So I actually had clients who they were walking, talking MSM. Right. And I knew that if push came to shove, they were not going to be comfortable in the meetings. Right. Mm-hmm. I really, wasn't expecting lockdowns. But I also was trying to meet my clients where they are.
Yeah.
So
Well,
so luckily for my business at that time, I already had Zoom ready
yeah.
as an option. So we never missed a beat.
Right.
We never missed a meeting. We never missed a time together. Matter of fact, we accelerated our times. We started doing it weekly to keep people connected, to keep people motivated. Started offering workshops. She provided a workshop for us during that lockdown period of time. And I'm very pleased. It actually makes my heart really happy when I get feedback from people who knew me before. And like one person said, you literally just rose up, grabbed your shield, and said, we're going forward.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
So you're getting emotional, and
I am.
Well,
I'm really touched that other people saw it.
Well, here's why though. All right. So let's talk about what's going on in life right now. Right.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of people out there watching us right now who either quit their job, left their job, haven't figured out what they want to do with the rest of their lives. Like
resignation.
People have made all kinds of choices that are so dramatically resplendent of their attitude change.
Yes.
Right. And
yes.
you were no different in that, because I remember very vividly you saying, with the same passion and emotion that you just showed to your people during the beginning of the pandemic, was that no one under your watch was going to go out of business.
Yes.
Period.
That was my pledge.
That was it.
Yes.
And you did everything you possibly could.
Yes.
And to me, I think, okay, so increased meetings, things that used to get charged for from one member to another suddenly were free.
Yeah.
If a challenge was presented, we masterminded the shit out of that until we come up with some kind of solution that made sense for the person who had the problem.
Yes.
I think all of that, one, made you better at you.
Yes.
Because just the speed and the repetition with what you were doing.
Yes.
Two, the fact that it was so core to your being that you really believed what you were saying.
Yes.
That you were willing to not just accept what people were saying is what, oh, well, Wendy, there's nothing we could do about it. You were like,
there's always
fuck
something.
That.
There's always something you can do.
Always something, right?
Pivot might have been the buzzword, but you never pivot down.
Right.
You pivot around.
Okay. And so what I think happened, and we're going to talk about what's different now and what you do from what you used to do.
Right.
Because that is, all of us are faced with, like, how are we going to do what we do differently now?
Yeah.
But I believe in my heart of hearts, because you chose to put yourself out there. You were willing to invest the time in your people. You were authentic and transparent in your messaging, that people rallied to you, because it was exactly the opposite of what was going on in most of the Great Resignation, which is what I was just reading, which basically said all of that stuff that the businesses say that they care about, when times get tough and you don't show that you care the way you said, the Great Resignation happens.
Right.
Right. And remember your time in politics that we talked about in the last discussion, and what that did to you?
Oh boy, yes.
And how it changed, and how different you are now.
Yeah.
During a period of great transformation in the economy, like what happened in that last period, here you are. Okay. So
steel sharpens steel, right?
For those of you who don't follow Wendy on LinkedIn, if you want to see a strategy in play of the way that someone is purposefully using a platform to advance their personal and professional brand, I present example A. So tell us the story. So you double down, say the hell with that, we're doing things, and some stuff happened to help meet that need.
Yeah, none of this would have happened if we hadn't had the technology advancements we've had. I mean, could you imagine? And part of it too, I mean, I sound very, very altruistic, but it was really good for me too, because it gave me that vent. It gave me that opportunity to not feel powerless by taking action, by making a plan, by this isn't working, I'm going to keep working on this, by focusing on others. For the conclusion to your story, that was my pledge. Nobody goes out of business. And the honest answer is, by the end of the year, I had lost 3. But I guess overall that really wasn't bad, considering how many businesses have closed.
Yeah. What percent of your total group?
Right. I only lost 3. out of like 100.
Okay.
So
a
yeah,
ridiculously small number of
ridiculously small amount. And one of them was such a new business that they never even had a chance to get going. Right. And so I and then I started viewing these videos because I started making these little videos myself. And I also have a great joke about what a selfie stick is really for. Now that I'm in my 40s, it's not about taking pictures. It's about having the phone far enough away so you can read the screen.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Totally true.
Yeah. And I always started, yes, it was an amazingly transformative time. There's no other way to say it. I look back and wow, I think me would be really proud of me. Mm-hmm. I took advantage of every opportunity, every pivot. I jumped into anything I could. The digital world is massive and beautiful and welcoming. And for me, just kind of a weird side note, why would I go back to just as far as I can drive when I can literally do women's success summits that are sponsored out of France because of this digital world, right? And one of the videos that I made was about farming your business. And I used my own vegetable garden as an example, where it was this one seed that I planted and I cultivated it and I took care of it and I gave it what it needed. And now it's producing this harvest that's come back to me. I like to talk a lot about tulips and daffodils bloom in the spring, but they have to go in the ground in the fall. And the gardener never once questions whether or not they're wasting their time by planting the bulb. They have faith it will grow, right? So I put this video out there on LinkedIn, and I got a meeting request from somebody. This is lesson number 1 that I learned from LinkedIn. Look at their profile, know who you're talking to before you actually have the conversation, because this person was like here and I didn't know it. So I went in unprepared for what this conversation. So
you had a learning moment.
I had a learning moment. I have a learning moment that's become a coaching moment for others.
Sure.
Right. Yeah. And I had this conversation with this gentleman who thought I was a sales coach, and he was trying to figure out a way to help his sales team, his national sales team, recover from a 65% loss. Well, they were print and promotion, right?
I'm familiar with the problem.
Exactly. No expos, no golf outings, no fairs, no door knocking, no anything.
Yeah.
Right? No need for tchotchkes and fun promotional items. And he asked me to create a quote on what I would do. And honestly, Roger, this is probably lesson number 2, and how much I would charge. And I've been so generous with trying to keep my people going that it never crossed my mind that what I was doing was worth paying for. Right. So that was the spark. That was the spark that created my coaching and speaking business, Crusaders Networking.
Yep.
That happened October of 2020.
So cool. I love it.
And it also was that moment that I started to realize that there was a gap. There's a gap in what people are taught. They know how to sell and they know how to market, but they don't know how to connect. And when times are good, they don't need to.
Sure.
That it's shooting fish in a barrel when the economy is good. 100%. Or there's so many industries out there that still preach the make 100 phone calls. That's better than spending 1 hour with a group of people who might help you grow your business. Right? There's this
churn and burn, baby. Churn and burn. It's all in the volume.
Right.
It's a volume business.
But it's worse than that. It's literally missing every opportunity that you walk across because you were only told to view people one-dimensionally. As a transaction at the most. Right. Yeah. So that's where my coaching comes in, is how to build a sincere connection for long-term value. I mean, you and I have known each other for how many years now? And yet never once has it been, okay, you owe me your turn. We're not keeping score. Right. Right. And I have no problem referring you to others because I know you're going to take good care of my reputation. You're going to take good care of them. I don't have to worry about it. And vice versa. And this is a neglected skill, but here's the beauty. It's a skill. which means it can be learned. And once it is learned and practiced, it becomes an art form to others. Others will see you doing it and think they're a natural. I can never do it, which is not true. It's a learnable skill. And I teach that skill.
Kind of like doing video on LinkedIn.
Right. Right.
Got to start if you want to get better at it.
Oh my gosh.
Generally speaking.
Oh my gosh. I took most of my original videos off of my YouTube channel because I'm just like,
yeah.
I mean, wow. But I left a couple because you got to see people got to see how far you've come, right?
I think there was one early on that you were in the backyard.
That's the farming.
Yeah.
Yeah. Farming my business.
Yeah. I literally look at that. I mean, I remember it. Like it was yesterday because it was one of the original. I think it may have been the first thing you did after we talked.
No, it wasn't. Because I didn't do that until like the fall.
Oh.
But I think it's the first one that I put. I don't know.
But you really went after
it. It had an impact.
Right.
That one had noticeable impact. Where my other ones like, fear in business or, just that little stuff was more almost monologue-y.
Yep.
Where this was actually something that people needed to hear, not just something I needed to say.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I hearken back to episode 69 when we talked about how the devastating relationship you had with the awful politician who had really bad managerial skills had such an effect on you and
destroyed my ego.
Now people are paying you for like the same thing, in a lot of ways. Like, help me get over this self-limiting belief. Help me get around this thing that's causing me to have an impediment to my success.
Right. Help me be more effective in the time I spend, not spend more time.
Yeah. Well, and so I want to dig into this a little bit because I'm sorry, this is the nerdy sales portion of the presentation because I'm going to talk about like the technicals of sales. So if like you're not into this stuff, you might want to fast forward a little bit.
Don't do it. You're going to love it. You're going to be so happy to hear this.
All right. Going back to that managerial style in sales that says this is a volume business and you've got to make 40 calls a day or else, we're going to put you on a performance improvement plan, right? Like that's where I was raised. That was my life.
Most of us were.
And it's not fun.
It is not fun.
There's no fun coming into Telemarketing Tuesday knowing you're going to go 0 for 60 on the phone today. And you're going to get called into the conference room between the morning and the afternoon sessions, and everyone's going to say what they did. And it's the most god-awful, sad excuse making that you've ever seen. Yeah, I've got 0. Like, and it's just like,
one lady yelled at me and hurt my feelings.
Right?
Yeah.
So knowing that is the mentality that has traditionally governed sales management. There was always this discussion, and you and I just love the fact that you use an old school sales term in farming.
Yes.
Because hunters and farmers have always sort of been what most sales professionals would deem others.
Yes.
You're either a hunter or you're a farmer.
Yes.
And farmers were not looked on very favorably. They were looked on as the people who really couldn't get the job done. In a lot of instances, it was like, oh, he's a farmer. He's not a killer. He's not going to go get quota this month. Like he's a relationship guy. And so consequently, those performers who looked down on farming were the ones who most often got promoted to sales management.
Yes.
Because weirdly, they take the best salespeople and take them out of those roles and put them into something that they're not as good at.
Right.
Leading other people.
Right.
So you ruin your company twice making this choice. But at the same time, what you're really doing is you're creating a mentality in your culture that says that relationship building is a bad thing.
It's a waste of your time.
A bad thing, a waste of your time.
Yes.
Makes you soft as a salesperson.
Yes.
And so consequently, like you said, talk about a gap.
Oh, huge gap.
So there was very little written or discussed about the concept of creating long-term relationships in sales.
Yes.
Secondarily, the research that I watch is talking about how the role of a salesperson is increasingly moving down funnel.
Okay.
Right. So originally, before the internet, especially,
Right.
you needed a salesperson so that you could ask them a bunch of questions so that you could help get better educated about what you were going to buy.
Right.
There was no way for you to do that research really,
Right.
except to talk to other people.
Right.
And there wasn't the internet to allow you to be able to ask for recommendations of a large group of people.
Right.
You had to ask like maybe 1 or 2 people and hope that they knew what they were talking about. So consequently, the salesperson was always in the position of strength.
Right.
Hence this whole, if you're a hunter, there's no need for a relationship. I'm in the power position.
Exactly.
Just give me your money and I can move on to the next person.
Okay.
So now we move into what just happened during the pandemic.
What the funny thing is there was like sheer panic with hunters with that type of sales professional.
Yeah.
They're desperately looking for anything. Didn't you start getting those emails from people that you haven't seen in like 2-3 years?
Sure.
Hope this finds you well.
Right.
Just want you to know we're here if you need anything. And you're like, gee, suddenly the 800 number is not what I should be using anymore. It should be you. You know, it's just, yeah.
There was actually a YouTube video that I have, and if I can find it, I'll post it so that we can laugh about this as a group. Somebody took like all of the commercials from all of the really big companies during that period and strung them together.
Okay.
It's literally the same commercial, and they're saying nothing. They're saying literally nothing.
No, they
because
still don't.
when you don't know what to say, you don't say anything for fear of it's going to get you in trouble.
Right.
So I'll just choose the most vanilla, the most absolute word salad that you've ever heard in your entire life, and it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
As long as the buzzwords are there, that's all that matters.
Check the box.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Got him.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
And
So here we are.
Okay.
Basically with a fallow field.
Yes.
All
yeah.
right?
It's been laying dormant.
Okay.
It's been unused because it was viewed. It's just like the people who used to believe that the empty fields, there was something wrong, so they would just cut down all the trees to make a field. Yes. Instead of like, no, that's the healthiest soil out there. Yes.
Oh, we learn sometimes, don't we? So it would be one thing for you to say, well, and so I became a sales coach and I have these women's empowerment. Right.
Yeah.
That's the exact point. So so how do I want to express this properly so that people understand. You could say that that's your job.
Okay.
But if someone says, well, how much would you charge? And you don't know. And if someone says, send me a piece of collateral material so I can review what it is that I'll get from you, and you don't have any of that.
Right. Well, yeah, we all have to start somewhere.
There's a dissonance, right? So
right. That's actually what happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So then you said, well, I got to get to the part where I have actual things to sell.
Yes. That I have a clear definition of what I am. What do I do? Okay. How do I translate it?
So
yes.
A lot of people out there might be going like,
yes.
She's in this new underserved area.
Yes.
Like, what am I going to get? Like, but promotional products are stuff, but I sell consulting services and virtual events. And so you don't have to just buy promo from me.
Right.
We can do business lots of different ways, but I had to tell people that, hey, like I'm a sales and marketing consultant, and you can buy 1 hour of my time. You can buy a month of my time. You can buy a year of my time. And here's what it costs. Right.
Yes.
So you set about planting your seeds.
That.
Yeah.
Yes.
So talk about that.
So I actually had to define first, I had this spark that people don't know how to build sincere relationships. They've confused networking as part of selling and part of marketing, where it's actually a completely separate skill set. It is a skill that you can practice and function within without ever touching a sales practice or a marketing practice. It is sincerely about being of service to others, building that relationship. I like to talk about it as, Roger's the doorway. So if I'm looking at Rogers as a sales prospect and I'm asking all the right questions to qualify him as a sales prospect and he doesn't meet my standards, I'm done with him. But what I failed to also take into account is Roger is a doorway. He's a doorway to a network full of people. Maybe one of them does. So one of the things that I actually do coach, and it's funny because it's actually a video coming out in March. Please follow me on LinkedIn. You'll really enjoy it. Is how to put layers on top of what you're already doing for more effectiveness. So while I'm asking questions to qualify you as a sales coach or as a potential client, I'm also going to be listening for specific things so I can see how I can tap into your network or offer my network to you so you open the door. So you are no longer one opportunity. You are an unlimited number of possibilities. And I took a couple extra seconds to make a sincere connection with you, to make sure that you actually like me, so that we can continue doing business, because nobody likes to feel like they've been tricked. And that's what a lot of these networking skills that are taught, and please don't be offended if you're a sales trainer. That's not where I'm going. But a lot of times they'll spend 15, 20 minutes at a sales conference talking about networking, but it's a way to get them to let down their guard, so they'll sign the contract. You can hand off the 800 number and wish them luck.
Right.
That's not what people want. They don't want it. No. You want to create a raving fan out of somebody, because a raving fan is going to share you with everybody.
Yeah.
And how much easier is it on you? You know, yes, we all start out new. We all got to do the phone calls. We all got to do the door knocks. We all got to do all of that stuff. But the idea is, over time, you've built a network that starts working for you, so you don't have to do that so much.
Right.
You don't. Certain professions like a financial industry, the goal is to build a book of business that is so broad that you don't literally have time to spend an hour with every single one of them every day. So how do you make a connection with them that they don't leave you for the cheapest penny?
Exactly.
Or they bring their kid to you next. You know, that is the relationship part. That is the networking part. And that's what Crusaders Networking does, is like I said, it fills that gap. And it's great to add to sales training. It's like supercharging your business. Right. And it's also a really great opportunity to, we always talk about, you're leaving money on the table. God damn it. You're leaving money on the table if you don't look at somebody as other possibilities, as only as a client. If no, you are leaving money on the table by not focusing on this person and what other avenues can come from them.
So let's go back, and it's when I think about this in this vein, using this sales brain.
Right.
Okay, so if we just said the hunters become the managers,
and then they yell at everybody.
Being a farmer is looked down upon.
Right.
It's a volume business. Okay. So there's absolutely no opportunity to be able to even consider the value of a relationship, because you're going to get in trouble.
Yes.
If that's the way, like if your metrics are set up
right
in the historical sense.
Right.
And you're trying to use the strategy that we're talking about.
Right.
It doesn't scale fast enough to try to approach, but stay with me on this.
Okay.
Right? So
because two things came to mind.
So because those metrics are what are studied, what you really miss out on the opportunity is there are periods in your relationship building process where you'll get explosions of growth. When you are a volume seller using traditional methods, it may still produce results, right? But it's not going to produce the same massive results that happen when the pop happens, right?
Yes.
Like, so again, like back to your tulip, like you have to put it in the ground, you have to do the activities and just accept that you have to wait for the results. But if you can just marry it into your old school techniques and start a mix of these and layer. Yeah, like, right?
Layers. I talk all the time. I'm always talking about layers, workshops, everything like that. And it's layers. Yeah.
Okay. So HubSpot puts out the State of Sales and Marketing report every year.
Okay.
And one of the key statistics that's in there, which really reinforces what you're talking about, is there are a defined number of intervals between person selling and person buying from the first time till the time you say yes.
Yes.
Any guesses on how many it is?
I think it's 11 now, isn't it?
It's 18.
Oh, it's gone up even higher. It used to be like 7.
6 or 7 was what, those of us who've been around for a while, take 6 or 7. And most salespeople stop at like 2. Right?
Yes.
And if you have a geographic territory that you're trying to cover a bunch of accounts, multiply that times 18. And now what you really described is the totality of activity that you need to have. And to think that you would not have relationship building in one of those 18, or maybe 4 or 6 of them, probably should be relationship focused.
I love to joke about this. It's like when you stand up there and you get your Human of the Year award, you never stand up there and say, I did it by myself. No,
This
you're
is
like,
me.
you help me, you help me, you help me. But how did you do that? Well, you had to build a relationship with them. Nobody's gonna, yes, we help strangers, but this is different.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
to me, the difference is glaring.
Yeah.
And
the long term, it's that pie chart thing. It's you start here, but the long-term value of adding those layers and layers and layers is walking up the steps.
Yeah.
It gets you to the top of that hill.
Yep. And don't get me wrong. I mean, we still have to ask people to buy.
Oh, hell yes.
So,
sorry.
So we're not going to conflate like it's never time to ask for the order, because that's not the case at all. What we're saying is, if what we know is in the know, like, trust continuum that everyone agrees people buy from people they know, like, and trust.
Yep.
And yet the average salesperson's closing ratio, do you know the percentage?
I do not.
25%.
I don't even pretend to be a sales coach because I'm not. So
yes. And personality testing.
Right.
So whether it's Myers-Briggs, it's DISC, there are 4 quadrants.
The cardinal rule.
So guess what? When you don't have any additional value to offer, the only people who do business with you are people who are like you.
Oh, that's so fun.
Because the other 3 people are like, not my flavor. But this 4th person who shares your personality makeup is like, oh yeah, you're super comfortable to me.
Right.
Well, if you could just do a better job of building camps in the other 3 quadrants by spending time with people and building relationships.
Yes.
What might that do to your actual close percentage?
So do you know what you just walked into for me?
What's that?
My networking landscapes.
Okay.
Because we've talked about, farming and hunting.
Yeah.
But did you know, from a networking standpoint, there's also a fishing and a foraging.
Oh.
Right? Where I coach 4 different styles of networking for 4 different results.
Mm-hmm.
And actually the hunting I use is not from a sales perspective. It's from I'm an analytical, well, this is wasting my time. So it's about making a plan and tracking your progress so you can celebrate successes and know, you know what? It was a good thing that I talked to that person because they brought me a new lead. Right. So that's what you're talking about, where you will find one of these landscapes is you're comfortable in.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have an awareness of the others and how to function in them, you are better.
That's when the real magic happens.
That's where the real magic happens. And I do want to point out super quick, this is actually an ideal skill for introverts. I mean, everyone thinks if you're in sales, if you're in networking, if you're in marketing, you gotta be me. And you gotta be us. We'll talk to anybody all day long. We love it. But a lot of the value comes from asking questions and listening.
Yeah.
That is a skill an introvert is a master at. So they can be ideal salespeople, ideal networkers, ideal connectors if they realize their own superpowers. And on the other hand, for people like me, it helps. How did I call it? It reined me in, because I do get passionate. I get excited. I want to help. I see value. I see opportunities that people miss, but I don't want to overpower somebody.
Yep.
So it helps reel me in as well.
Framework.
So like you said, so you get that personality styles, but this is a very broad umbrella skill.
Right.
It's not a one and done type of thing. It's and once again, as we did the cry earlier thing, I did have a coaching client say that what I really enjoy about this is I don't have to be somebody different to be good at it.
Hey!
And I never thought about it. It's customizable to you. Oh my God.
I can actually be myself.
I can be myself and be good at this. Yes.
Maybe if we could just get, I don't know, 5 more people to feel like they could just be themselves. And it's so much easier. You don't have to work as hard. It's not as tiring because you're just being who you are. And that's the best part of it.
Far more energizing.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
You're
Okay.
right.
So in the 2 years that it's been
only
that we've done this.
Wow.
I think there's going to be someone out there that's going to be you from 2 years ago.
I love that idea. Honestly, because I'm here because of people like Roger who said, Wendy, you got to put yourself out there. Wendy, people need to see you. They need to hear you. And yet every time I did that, I stretched my own skin, my own bubble, my own, and now I'm this, not this.
Yeah.
And it all came. Yes. Are you looking for my advice on that?
So I was just if there is 2 years behind Wendy listening right now, what would you want that person to be hearing from you?
Say yes. Doesn't matter what you want out of life. If you don't say yes to the opportunity, yes to the event, yes to the invitation, yes to the podcast, you're not going to find the value. So say yes. Give generously. We help others without expectation, and that's where opportunities are found. When you connect with people without expectation or prejudging them by their business card, that's where opportunities are found. Success is beyond the business card. And be patient, because not everybody is where you are, and not everybody is moving at your pace. But you still want to plant the seeds and cultivate that crop and keep that connection. Don't burn the bridge. Keep the bridge open, because that day might come when all of a sudden they are exactly where you want them to be to help them.
I ended our previous interview by saying, I'm just going to leave it right there because there isn't anything better I could put on top of that. So concludes the audio portion of the So You're in Sales podcast. Wendy, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Okay, so now welcome to the bonus video content, everyone. Hi. Wendy and I, as you've been hearing, have been talking about the last 2 years of her career and the enormous growth that she's experienced during that time frame. Mm-hmm. And in the bonus section of the So You're in Sales podcast, as sponsored by Social Good Promotions, I take a giant risk and I let smart people like Wendy ask me a question. And here's the thing. I didn't let Wendy know that she get to do this. So this is like, if we have to wait a second as she thinks about this, like that's entirely cool because I'm a great editor. So that this part won't make it into it. So it's super good. So I'm just talking and waiting. I know Wendy's thinking about it.
Well, I think, but there's just so many possibilities. Do I talk about like the return of expos do you want me to be a question like, because see, there's so many possibilities.
Oh my God. I'll tell you what, I'll let you ask me two then.
Okay.
And that way, you don't feel like you're beholden to one question. Okay.
So in general, see, because this was the concern that I've had, like we talked about in the audio portion, that there was that mad scramble during 2020 to fill this missing gap. But now I'm feeling like now that we can pretty much go back to normal life, that they're sliding back into bad habits. Do you feel like, you've been trying to work with people the last 2 years to level them up, take them to another place, and now that things are starting to feel more familiar and less immediate, that they're kind of sliding back into bad habits or
That's wow. All right. So I bet you're not going to expect what I'm going to say.
So I have no idea what you're going to say. So you won't take me by surprise. If I fall over, you'll know. So
I don't care.
Well, I didn't know if some of the bad habits were like cutting corners when they shouldn't be cutting corners, or pulling back just when they were making progress or something. Because you do event planning, is the all of the consultations and stuff. So
gosh.
But maybe you don't care. I mean, because there's certain things I don't like.
But here's why. Like that's a flippant answer. So let me express why I mean what I mean. Right. So. And to tell you that, I have to tell you something that you're going to be really excited to hear. So, Social Good Promotions achieved just over $400,000 in sales in 2021.
Good for you. And I know you were worried.
We said to the world this year that we will be $1 million organization.
Yeah.
So that's a big jump.
Yes.
That's $600,000 in additional sales.
Okay.
For just two of us to try to do, right? Okay. So I only want to work with people who aren't cutting corners and backsliding.
Right.
So if it even appears to me that you are, I've moved along. Because to me, my prospecting filter is so fine now.
Right.
Like, there's the analogy like basketballs on a gym floor versus pebbles of sand on a beach, right?
Okay. All right.
I don't. Like I have a pebble-sized filter, and the basketballs are the things that are hitting my prospecting filter. Like big businesses, not big businesses, businesses who share our values,
Yes.
who are approaching things from the same perspective that we are
Yes.
starting to line up to do business with us.
I love that.
So there's no me having to worry about backsliding.
Right.
Because they're coming at it saying, we want to do it the way you do it.
Nice.
So help us
adopt
that strategy for ourselves. So I'm pretty quickly in the discovery process. Like if it looks like, to your point, like I'm not like, hey, Wendy, we're not a fit, so sayonara.
Right.
I'm more often than not trying to make a recommendation for them for somebody else.
That's part of Hebrew relationships.
That makes more sense for them, because here's the way it goes.
Yes.
Think of, let's role play this real quick.
Right.
So imagine what you might hear from me in these two ways.
Okay.
Yeah, Wendy, after talking with you, I've really come to the realization that I'm trying to grow my business to $1 million, and you're going to be more trouble than you're worth. So I'm just going to move along. It was really nice talking to you. Versus, oh my God, your needs are so unique and interesting that I don't think that I'm going to be a perfect fit for you in that regard.
Right.
Because I have this really big time constraint that I have put upon myself, because I'm trying to sell $1 million for our company this year.
Right.
Because we have all of these really amazing social good activations that are going to occur when we are able to accomplish that task. So I don't want to leave you stranded.
Yep.
Could I give you Linda Suter from Big Frog in Brighton's phone number? She's right here. She's local. She is an amazing human being, and she happens to be a SiriusNet member. So would that be okay? Right? Like, think about the difference that you would feel.
Oh yeah, no.
In that, right?
I don't have to think about it. I coach that.
Exactly.
How do you create a raving fan out of somebody who's not a customer? You're going to leave them with a positive impression. They're going to still share you with others, even though you weren't the one that solved. You were a resource to them.
Yep.
You solved a crisis. Nobody likes to hear that sucks. Good luck to you. And
even if you don't say those words, people can tell.
Yes. And if we want to bring the SiriusNet system back in, I have actually had now that I operate in two different worlds, I can see the difference. That just reinforces the fact that it is a learnable skill. Right. When I was seeking a solution for a coaching client, I reached out to my network, which happens to span both SiriusNet and outside of SiriusNet. My SiriusNet people all sent me to someone. Mm-hmm. The people outside of SiriusNet were like, gee, don't know anyone. But good luck to you. And I'm thinking, how did you get to your level of success with that type of attitude when a referral partner comes to you for knowledge?
Right.
But not my SiriusNet people.
Sure.
They all sent me to somebody, even if it wasn't the right fit. They all had an idea, a solution, a thought, an offer of help. And not a single one said, when are you giving me? Yeah,
right. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Well, and we've put the work in to have earned that opportunity. So when I say I don't care, I mean,
no, actually that actually was a really, because sometimes I care too much and I try really hard. And I also sometimes do need the reminder to stop dragging the people.
Right.
There's others that are waiting for you to catch up. Stop dragging the people.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can go faster when you find the right tribe.
Right. I mean, you can still go fast, but it has to be the right people, because that, the old African proverb, go fast, go alone, go far, go together.
That's correct.
Well, you can go fast and far.
let's do that. Yes. Okay, so that was question 1. Bonus question 2.
Bonus question number 2. Are you going to help me with the golf outing this year?
Hell yes, I'm going to help you with the golf outing.
So there we go, because it's already scheduled on the calendar. September 23rd, Mystic Creek, here in Michigan, in the Milford area. Our goal is to fill, they have 3 9s, so it'd be really fun to fill all 3 9s, but and it's not just SiriusNet, it's Crusaders, it's networking,
this is happening,
it's already happened. I mean, I made magic happen in 2 months. I have 6 months and people now.
We had fun and we had a good time.
It's going to be so good. Yes.
All right. So you're interested, you're intrigued, you want some coaching maybe. Wendy, how do they find you?
You can find me at wendycaverly.com.
Google it.
There's actually a lot of, there's, you don't even have to Google it. Just type in wendycaverly.com and it will pop right up. There's networking nuggets on there. There's my past podcasts are on there and everything like that. LinkedIn, Wendy C. Caverly on LinkedIn. And I love what I do. I'm very passionate about helping people learn the value and the importance of connecting and how to do it effectively, and how to create raving fans along the way. Long-term success is not a one and done prospect. It's done in layers, but guess what? Time's going to pass anyway, so you might as well be effective.
Nailed it. Didn't even, like, no cue cards, no nothing. Okay, everybody. It's been nice talking to you.
Thanks, guys.
Enjoy your week of selling. Hit it hard. Q1 is coming to a close. It's time for us to get those relationships together and spend some time learning about what people's needs are so that you can help them instead of just asking them for some business.
Can I throw something on that? You have a business expo or a conference coming up, make sure you make a positive impression so they remember your flyer over the neighbors, because you're standing in a room full of your competition. Treat them as someone you want to know, not just someone you want to do business with.
Fire! Okay, so